Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deepsouth Homestead on Porch Time today. Guys, it's been a rough road for a lot of us here on homesteaders as far as the weather is concerned. And there's a reason for all this, and I think we should be learning from what we're going through. So many people send me messages and it's like, Danny, what in the world is going on with the weather? And guys, it's a very simple answer. It's called the grand solar minimum. Now, I've been trying to talk about this for over a year now. Back during solar cycle 24, I began to realize that there was a lessening of sunspots on the sun, and I began to look into this thing pretty deep. I began to look into a lot of literature that people had out there. Sasha Dobler was one of them in particular. Valentina Zarkova, these different ones had this information out there when they originally started. And these people have, I've actually been contacted by some of them, have some of them's books, so a lot of their literature, stuff like that, they've emailed to me. Some of the information has been changed by some of the people because of pressure from governments, I believe. So I'm going back to the original stuff that they put out because I believe that was probably what was 100% accurate. Now we have to understand when we talk about the grand solar minimum, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, here we go again, this conspiracy theory stuff. Guys, you can say what you want. You can believe what you want. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. I just know what's happening where I'm at. And I know what I see happening around the world by stuff that I see on YouTube. I don't watch the news, so I don't worry about that. But this is the bottom line. We have to first understand what happens during a grand solar minimum. We begin to have less sunspots on the sun. And as a result, our geomagnetic field that's around the Earth begins to relax itself. And as it relaxes, then the weather becomes inclement. It becomes unpredictable. It becomes chaotic. So many things. The Earth's magnetic pull changes. The magnetic fields begin to change on the Earth. We know the North Pole's been moving. They've been talking about a polar flip here for a long time. Guys, there's lots of things that start happening. And as a result, these things affect our weather. Now, I have to admit that man realizes this. You know, our scientists know this stuff. This is not anything new to anybody. China's making provisions for it. Russia's making provisions for it. The United States is probably making provisions for it in a lot of ways, but they're not really saying anything about it. These other countries are actively doing things. But we sit back and we look at the grand solar minimum, and we see as the Earth begins to make these changes that it goes through, it will affect our weather. Now, it's like I said, man is taking advantage of it. There's probably a lot of geoengineering going on. We know that there are because we see the chemtrails in the sky. I am actively seeing a difference in my plants and the production of my food since there's not been as many chemtrails in the sky. Since COVID-19 and a lot of planes have been grounded, I'm not seeing the amount of chemtrails in the skies above me. Matter of fact, some of the days when the sky is so crystal clear blue, I'm always like looking up going like, where are the clouds or the chemtrails or something to block some of this heat off of me? But since it's been that way, my garden this year has been blowing out at the seams producing food. Now, it's the first time in years that it's done that, and the only thing I can attribute it to at the moment is the lack of chemtrails, and it's been cooler. Now the coolness it comes in spurts and surges. A lot of you all will probably agree with me that at some point it's like very nice. The temperatures are cool, they're really good. Stuff just seems like it wants to flourish for it may go for up to a week, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, the weather changes and it goes to 90 degrees, it's 80 high 80s, and it's crystal clear. The sun is like beaming down, it's like burning you, it's so hot. Because the heat from the sun is a lot different. There's more radiation coming in because our magnetic fields around the earth are being relaxed, letting a lot more cosmic rays come in here. But now what we're not getting is the beneficial ultraviolet rays. Now these are the ones that we're not getting. And as a result, our plants suffer from that. My plants are as beautiful as y'all see my plants looking. During the middle of the day, on a bright sunny day when it's like 85 to 90 degrees here, there's plenty of water because we're watering regular, plenty of fertilizer because I'm pushing my plants. I'm not lying to you, I'm pushing them. And all of a sudden, when that sun hits like that, from around 1 o'clock till about 4 o'clock, those plants' leaves just wilt down on them. For no other reason other than the fact that the sun is just scalding hot. I can't even get out in it. It's like it blisters me. And I don't even sunburn. I've never been one to sunburn, but that sun literally burns me through my clothes. But now why is all this happening? Well, and what can we expect from it? These are questions we have to ask ourselves. Well, we've already started discussing it's happening because of the grand solar minimum and because of the way that the fields around the earth are relaxing. Weather patterns are changing. El Niños are changing. La Niños are changing. Some are relaxing. Some are becoming stronger. Polar shifts around the North Pole are taking place, allowing cold air to dip deeper into the earth, and it's getting warmer to the Arctic Circle sometimes, and it shoves the cold air south. Guys, there's lots of things that are happening and causing our weather to become inclement. Now, with the grand solar minimum happening, we can expect this to get worse for many years to come. The winters are going to become longer. The summers will still be hot down south. It won't be so hot up north. But up north you will have days. Now I'm not saying there won't be any heat. I'm saying you will have days that will be screaming hot, but then it'll turn right back off cold. You won't get enough warmth up there to actually be able to grow anything that takes any length of time to grow. So as we transverse from winter to spring, because the seasons are messed up a little bit there, we can go from being freezing to being 80 degrees in just a couple of days, and then back to frost, back to 80 degrees, back and forth, and we're trying to get plants out, we're trying to cover plants, we're trying to keep something from freezing, we're trying to keep something warm enough to grow. And this is what we're going to be expecting in the winter to spring, and then when we get ready to go from summer to fall, it's going to start all over again. We're going to go from hot to cool, hot to cool. And when we do that, if you know anything about weather, if you're going to be a homesteader, or if you're going to prepare to have a garden and learn to do anything, quit listening to the weatherman. Learn to listen to your own weather where you live at. Learn to look at this, look at the clouds, look at the skies, look at your landscape, look at the weather, and see what's happening where you are. That's what I've done. I quit listening to weather people. I don't even listen to weather people no more. What weather I know now, I look at the skies. Now I may pull up and see that on a weather channel. I don't listen to anybody talk. I just look at weather patterns as to what's going on, and I can tell by the way fronts are moving, where low pressures are, where high pressures are, where troughs are building, things like that. I'm learning to look at that kind of stuff and predict my own weather where I'm at. Now what's happening here, and what can we expect from this? Because hot, cold, when you do that, what happens is you get a really messed up upper atmosphere up there. And when you got something really cold running into something really hot, that's how you get thunder, as a matter of fact. The air splits, and as it comes back together, it collides from lightning. Whenever this kind of stuff happens, and let me stop right here. I don't profess to be a weather person. I don't profess to know a lot about weather. I'm just telling you what I've learned. When you have extreme hot and extreme cold coming together, you have violent weather. Now, my garden this year is probably one of the best gardens I've ever had. But it can go away in one day. I could get a hailstorm come through here in one day and wipe it all out. It would be over and gone. That's why you see me talk about pushing my gardens. I am actively, while the weather is permitting it, I am pushing my gardens. Wanda and I are canning like crazy. Now, we have sold a lot of our vegetables this year for the first time in many years because we have such an overabundance of everything. But we are still canning and canning and canning and canning because if something happens with the weather, which is very likely, then I want to have everything out of it that I can have out of it while I have it. Now here we are, this is going to be the 1st of June. Hurricane season starts at the 1st of June. We are already having tropical systems in the Gulf and in the Atlantic. We've already had 2 named storms. We're looking at the 3rd one coming into the Gulf. The one coming into the Gulf this week could be serious. It could be devastating for us here at Deep South Homestead. We've got a greenhouse. They're talking about this could be anything from a tropical storm to a Cat 3 hurricane. I have a greenhouse up and I'm actively working on a 2nd one. That would be devastating to us here. All my corn's up, my tomatoes are just getting ready to start coming. I mean, it could wipe us out completely. So, guys, this is what I'm talking about. The weather is going to be chaotic. Y'all have heard me say over and over and over between the 35th and the 44th parallel is going to have some of the wackiest weather that there is because that's where the Jetstream seems to be located at right now. That's where the cold and the hot air are hitting each other at. That could change. It could move down or it could lift up. It's going to fall somewhere in those parallels or right above them or right below them. And as a result, with all this cold air and hot air and all this horrible weather happening up in the central part of the United States, down across Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, all through Indiana, Ohio, up through Pennsylvania, all up through there, as a result of that, that's sucking in stuff in up out of the Gulf. And when it does that, if there's a tropical system out there anywhere and it's headed in our direction, that Gulf is just like a funnel. It just pulls it right up in here, and when it does, you're looking at Florida, you know, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. Any of us across here are game. That's like the one that's possibly coming in this week. We're all game for it, guys. If they have it predicted, the GFS models, the Canadian models, all the different models have it predicted anywhere from Mexico to the tip of Florida. We're all game, you know, if this thing manifests like they say it might. This is all because of the sun cycles and the sun doing what it does. The sun affects our weather. And as a result, man is taking advantage of this. Man is going in with and tampering with the weather all that they can. Because, I mean, I've looked at military documents way back years ago that stated by 2025 the military wanted to be able to control the weather so that in the event of a major world outbreak of war or something like this, they could go in, they could actually starve people out by seeding the clouds and causing them, it would cloud up like it's going to storm and rain and there'd be a drop fall out of it because they evaporated all the moisture out of the clouds where it would not fall, thus starving the people out because they couldn't grow anything. They cut their food supply off, they could just starve them out. I mean, these are things that our governments and our elite are actively looking at because everybody wants to control something. That's just the way it is. And they know that the grand solar minimum is happening. They're not stupid. This is not something new. This happens once every, a solar cycle happens once every 11 years. These grand cycles happen every 400 years. And you can get a super grand cycle. It happens like every 2,000 years. And some even go up to every 4,000 years. We are right now, it looks like a 400-year cycle, which means that, then they call it a mini ice age. It doesn't mean that everything's going to freeze over. It just simply means that the temperatures will be too cool to grow anything in certain regions of the country or the world. Go back to 1815, the year without a summer, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Just Google it. you'll see what I'm talking about. Lots of people in Europe, the United States, and across the world died from hunger and famine because they couldn't get enough food raised to feed people. Lots of people migrated south where it was warmer at because we were some food down here to be able to, you could grow some things. And all this was caused by an eruption of a volcano that happened during a grand solar minimum. And guys, another thing about the grand solar minimum, with the pulling and snatching of the geomagnetic fields in the earth and stuff like this, we get lots of earthquakes, we get lots of tornadic activity, hail. I mean, we get lots of volcanoes begin to erupt, and all it takes is for one eruption of a massive volcano to get in the upper atmospheres of the wind up there and the jet streams and carry it and block the sun out and change the temperature of the earth just a few degrees and stop the growing ability. And people who are actively using solar panels and stuff like this, depending on solar for all their energy needs, would be in trouble because the sun would be blocked out and you would not be able to create any power. That's why Wanda and I are actively, I'm being honest with you, we're actively trying to learn how to live without any electricity. We're trying to learn how to cook without any electricity. We've invested in lots of things like the rocket stoves, the dragon pots. I have this wheel system sitting here my daddy built out of a big huge piece of equipment, rim off of a piece of equipment, and he welded all this grate and stuff on it and everything so you could cook in it. He done that for Y2K. I still have it. There's things like this that we are gathering right now up, different types of fat pine lighter to start fires with. We're learning how to use sticks to cook with. We're buying cast iron cookware, different things like this, the big old black kettles, all these type things we're buying up, trying to have them just in case something was to happen where we could not have any electricity or have the ability for any of our solar stuff to work here, or any of our generator stuff to work. Our cabin where I'm shooting this video at is designed that if there's no electricity, that it stays cool enough that we can survive in it, even in the 100-degree heat that we have here. Wanda and I could still have a place that we could beat the heat at and still be able to cook and live as comfortable as someone during under those conditions could. These are the things that we're looking at here. We're looking at the greenhouses because the greenhouses would protect any plants that we have on the inside from any fallout of ash or chemicals from the atmosphere or anything like that. We're trying to work towards learning how to do this stuff. And I think that it would be wise if everybody, you know, who was able to do it, could do it. I think it would be a wise move on your part, because it's not a matter of, guys, with the grand solar minimum now, it's not a matter of if something happens. It's when it happens, because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time before all of us get struck by some type of horrendous weather. And it wipe out whatever we have. I mean, I know Gemini Homestead, hail wiped out everything they had. Menzies Gardens sent pictures and videos out where hail destroyed their gardens. People out in Texas out there have sent us videos where hail has wiped out all their stuff. We've seen places where hail has wiped out entire wheat fields and corn fields and stuff like this. Guys, it's just a matter of time before this kind of stuff happens to us. Is a greenhouse going to protect my crop if I have a huge hailstorm? The answer is no. Sometimes weather happens like hurricanes, tornadoes, hailstorms, volcanoes, earthquakes. Guys, there's only so much we can do. We're human. We can't protect ourselves against everything out there. We have to be realistic. That's why I tell people, don't sit back and wait. Plant a garden, plant it in containers, plant whatever you can, do whatever you can. Start buying, start putting up. Guys, that's why we're an affiliate with My Patriot Supply. So we can offer you guys discounts on stuff. I mean, you know, like the Alexa Pure, if something happens and our water, like a fallout of some kind from volcanic ash or any type of bio or anything like that, contaminants of water, we have the Alexa Pure water system here through My Patriot Supply, where we can, if our wells quit and we can't pump water, we can get water out of whatever, however we can run it through the Alexa Pure. We can still drink our water. I mean, these are things that we have to think about. Wanda and I'm not going to lie, as much food as we raise, we still, through My Patriot Supply, we have a link down below. Let me say that now, for My Patriot Supply, if you're interested in it. It's called Water by Deepsouth Homestead. I believe you go to that web page and it takes you to everything. But we buy certain things from My Patriot Supply because it's supposed to last up to 25 years. I mean, we're not stupid when it comes to certain types of things. If we can't raise our food, then we need some kind of freeze-dried few things. I mean, we don't buy lots of stuff that's freeze-dried, but there's some things that we do purchase. I mean, Wanda likes the strawberries and freeze-dried strawberries and things like that because it makes desserts, and these things are beneficial to have. You need calories. You know, we have different things that we've bought that gives us so many calories a day. You need so much protein a day. I mean, we actively look into this kind of stuff because we feel like it's going to be absolutely necessary. Because we're at the beginning of solar cycle 25, guys. We're just at the beginning of it. It's only going to get worse for many years to come. Now, the sad part about it is I'm getting on up in age, and by the time I'm in my mid to late, I'll say mid 70s, this grand solar minimum is going to be at its peak, and it's going to be as bad as it gets. You know, so I'm not getting younger as I go into this thing. I've got to make decisions now for the future for us, should we survive it, and try to do the best that I can to provide for myself while I can. I think that's just wisdom on a person's part to do that. That's why we become so active with lots of these different companies like Hall's Tool, Growers Solutions, My Patriot Supply, you know, GreenStalk. There's all of these companies that we become affiliated with because they have a lot of products that we feel like everybody could use. We get them from them, we try them out, we see if they work. If they work for us, then we show them. And if they don't work for us, we still tell. I mean, like the potatoes this year, we planted 10 different varieties, of potatoes this year to see how they would do and how they would hold up. And we just give honest reviews. It's not that the potatoes are bad for every situation. It's just that we give an honest review about what works for us here. We work with the Olight because they have lots of different types of flashlights that are very good if grid down situation, no power or anything like that. They'll last for a while. They will charge on solar if solar works. So, guys, we look into all these things. I mean, that's just what Wanda and I are doing with the grand solar minimum, and we believe it's real. I don't believe it's a conspiracy theory. I don't think it's some off-the-wall thing. All you got to do is look at the weather changes and what's going on with the weather and realize that man and the grand solar minimum are just, it's going haywire. And it's making it even more difficult to raise anything to eat. Now, we do have tons of heirloom seeds stocked up. But right now, in the grand solar minimum, I'm growing mostly hybrids right now because hybrids have a lot of disease resistance, and that's what it's taking for me to get food stocked up. Now, if an LCE happens and we are sitting here going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? We're going to break out the heirlooms because if our hybrids run out, we're going to need something to fall back on. Then we'll start planting our heirlooms, even though we know the heirlooms are not designed to take this kind of stuff. We'll be able to get something out of them, and we'll be able to save some of the seeds and keep them going. So guys, I think that's what Porch Time is about today. It's about preparing during the grand solar minimum because What is going on with all this weird weather? It's the grand solar minimum and man together tampering. Now, I don't believe in global warming, so don't even leave a comment about it, toward me, because I don't believe in it. I don't believe it's real. I don't believe it's ever been real. I believe it's all been about carbon credits, so there's no need even talking to me about it because it's not real to me. It's been man-made. I believe in the grand solar minimum because history teaches me that these cycles has happened before. Just throughout history. All you got to do is go back, and then somebody's going to say, well, man's changing history. And yes, man is changing history. There's no doubt about that because I can look at the textbooks in school and I can tell. History is being changed. Lots of things are being wiped out because they don't want the new generation to know what actually happened years ago. They don't want them to know the truth. So they're changing history. I get that. I'm not ignorant about that. But the things that are published back in the 1500s and the 1600s, this stuff has been around for, they didn't change history back then. They are changing it now. They did during the Dark Ages get rid of lots of literature and lots of books and stuff like that because they felt like they didn't want people to know the truth even then. So guys, whatever we have, we have. Okay? I don't have to have all this literature to know that when I wake up and it's 40 degrees outside this morning, tomorrow it's 90 degrees and I'm back to 45 degrees and I'm back to 90 degrees. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out something's going on. Here it is, not even hurricane season, and we're fixing to have our third named storm before the season ever really starts. Yeah, something's wrong with the weather. Something's going on with the weather. And my guess is it's man and the grand solar minimum combined. It's going to be horrendous, guys. And I'm just urging you to prepare, do what you can to get as much food as you can, because just like I've said in previous videos, Henry Kissinger made the statement, whoever controls the food controls the people. Don't let yourself be controlled by someone else who controls the food. Do your best to get as much food for yourself as you can and your families. And guys, be responsible. That's about as much, the best way I can say it is be responsible. Don't sit back and wait on grocery stores. And I know, yes, now that COVID-19 is let up, you know, everybody's saying, oh, well, it's safe now. Let me tell you something. Mississippi's cases are climbing still. We're probably going to be the first state in the whole union that relaxed itself and went back and says, okay, everybody go back, and then all of a sudden we're going to have to shut it back down again because the cases in Mississippi is going crazy. And it is what it is. You know, it's out there, it's here, there's nothing we can do about it. There's just like the weather, I can't change the weather, there's nothing I can do about it. I can make plans all I need to. It doesn't mean that anything's going to work because it can change in a moment's notice. Everything we have can be taken in a moment's notice. So guys, do the best you can. Prepare, stock up, be ready, because it's coming. And it's coming hard, and it's coming fast. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.